Does anybody else just love that tune? I just find myself just rocking to it every single time. Anyway, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are from. Thank you very much for joining us. My name's Andy Hooper from Global E-Commerce Experts, and this is the E-Commerce Expander Secrets podcast, where we have established, esteemed guests, and we talk all things e-commerce. So I'm really, really excited to have today's guest. So Ryan, round two for you on our podcast. So hi and welcome.
Hello. Good morning. Good Monday. Wherever you're tuning in from. Hopefully it's still Monday. But yeah, thanks for having me on again. I know we've been trying to come back on again and talk the state of e-commerce. So I'm excited to be on here once again.
Fantastic. Well, for anyone that didn't catch the original first episode we did with Ryan, we'll make sure we put a link to that below and in the comments and all those bits that happen underneath that. So you make sure you can get that, because I think there was some great bits that came out of that. And it was great to hear Ryan's story as well and how he got into e-commerce. So that's always going to be there. So, what is this podcast about? This podcast really is about talking to other e-commerce leaders, other people in the industry, talking to people that have a real insight into what's happening. You know, it's much better for us to talk to, share, and just have a general chat, conversation about what's going on right now, and share that knowledge. So, Ryan, let's just do a quick intro. Let's just tell people a little bit about you and, where you work and what you do. How's that sound?
Yeah, no problem. So the 30-second is my background. I work for PingPongPayments, so we're a global cross-border payment solution that helps people save or send money when you are working in e-commerce or just in business in general, whether it's paying a manufacturer, supplier, distributor, VA. We can help you save money and kind of get rid of some of those excess fees, and then receiving it in any sort of marketplace like Amazon, Etsy, Wayfair. You name it, we can probably help you that in saving money. So that's what PingPongPayments does. My job is to kind of be brand ambassador, content thought leader, anything and everything from podcast host to webinar host to just kind of giving some thoughts on the e-commerce landscape. My company is fantastic because they span lots of different things. FinTech kind of will span any sort of commerce, but my background specifically comes in e-commerce, working for SaaS companies and selling direct to consumer. So I have that experience as well. But that's kind of the 30-second look into my life on a day-to-day basis. It's crazy and always changing, and every day is different.
Well, do you know what? On that, I was at a conference last week, where we were exhibiting, and there was a lady called Karen Brady, or Baroness Karen Brady of Knightsbridge, or someone over here in the States. And you have The Apprentice over there, don't you, Ryan?
Yes. So
she's one of the aides on the British Apprentice.
Okay.
To give you a bit of a. So I was listening to what she had to say, and she said that sometimes 10 years takes a week feels like it's 10 years, but sometimes 10 years feels like it's a week. And you know what? E-commerce, the whole e-commerce thing, it just goes at such a pace and such velocity that nothing ever stands still, and things are always changing. And I feel like, we've had 10 years in a week here. Every week is like 10 years worth of business that seems to go on. And if you have a day off, you come back and you're like, whoa, what's happened? Like, it's bonkers. And e-commerce like that. So this is where these conversations are great, because, so much is happening and so much is changing. It gives us an opportunity to talk about it. So thank you very much for joining us. It's much appreciated. So let's start with e-commerce. Let's get the big piece over and done with. Let's start with Q4. So obviously Q4 is here. If you're not prepared for Q4 now, you're probably going to miss it. Done. There, we've said it. Is that fair, Ryan?
That's fair. Well, we're in it. We're in Q4, so October through, is what? Today's the 18th of October. So you only have 2 more weeks left of October. This is actually, unlike other years, actually prime shopping season right now. That's kind of my first takeaway, right? Is what do we think about Q4? I think people especially consumers, have heard the shrieks of anyone and everything in terms of retail or online that inventory will run out by the time you get to mid-December, which is everyone's fear, just because of ports and everything like that in terms of shortages. Now's the time to buy your Christmas gifts or your holiday gifts or whatever you might be celebrating. So you're starting to see a lot of people, just shop earlier and earlier. And if you haven't planned out for your holiday sales or any sort of promotional advertising right now, this is the time that people are doing it. Believe it or not, people start thinking about Christmas in October. 40% of people in the industry, I say across the world, are thinking about Christmas shopping in October or earlier. So 40% is a big chunk, besides obviously lead up to Christmas in November and the weeks leading up to it. But if you're missing out 40% of potential sales for your goods or services, that's a large chunk if you're not ready for that already.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of people in the office here. They've done all their shopping. They're done. They're like
smart. I used to make fun of those people.
Yeah, quite right. And this year, and I think that logistics piece. People are exactly here in the UK. Shops are warning that there's going to be a lack of stock, and come Christmas, there's going to be nothing left. That's everything from your Christmas turkey all the way through to your pants and socks that you might get in your stocking present along with your bike, whatever it might be. They're warning of all this catastrophic ability of not being able to get anything for Christmas. Like, it just, there's a lot of scaremongering going on. I don't know, how real is it, do you think? Like, how real?
That's a
and
good
let's talk about Amazon side, because we're not going to start talking about turkey, carrots, and all the rest of it. Let's just focus on the e-commerce side that we totally understand. What's your thoughts? Like, how real is that?
I think in e-commerce, it is a real threat to people, depending on who you are. Like, if you're an experienced person, you probably have inventory, you have all these things somewhat figured out. You've been talking about for so long. You probably have those relations where you can buy massive amounts of quantity, even though it might be sitting in a port or on the boat for a long time. It might not have gotten there, but it is real. You're seeing a lot of these kind of warnings come up from Amazon, right? Amazon moved its date in terms of inventory limits, or at least to have stock in, it said December 11th before Christmas. Now it moved it up to December 3rd. So Amazon keeps moving these dates farther and farther up, because I think Amazon is also very much in fear that when people realize that they have to shop online, or if their goods are going to come to them at a delayed pace, can't get it at retail, they're worried that they're going to be running out of inventory for their top sellers, if you will. It doesn't matter what category, it's just across the board. So much commerce is happening, but it's just prolonged now. So I think they are truly the person who's not tuned into the industry like you and I are. I think you're going to start to see these happenings of, oh my gosh, my kid wanted this major toy. You're not going to actually see some of these big deals are happening anymore, because you don't need that drive of purchase anymore. Like, whole reason Cyber Monday, Black Friday all existed was to drive commerce. Well, that's not the case anymore. I think you're just going to have such a limited inventory happening in the first place. You're actually going to see prices stay high, and that's going to concern a lot more people. So a lot of people, what they might fear is less shopping instead of the quantity of shopping, and you have to drop their prices to make sure that they purchase with you. So that's kind of my fear of the industry, and specifically Amazon, of making sure that natural wave of people who are having that capability of inventory and stock. And it's not just sales right now, but it's to keep rank, right? If you run out of any sort of inventory, Amazon will torpedo your listing to the bottom of the ether. That is their algorithm. But a lot of people I've heard is, I have to actually turn off some of my spending so I literally don't run out of inventory. So it's just the mass amount of how much I can actually put in there because of Amazon's limitations of inventory in the first place, plus just the natural growth in sales craziness that is this time of year. A lot of people are just afraid of just running out of inventory. So there's a lot of fear in multiple different ways of, is this going to affect my business even after Q4? Not just during Q4, but after Q4.
Yeah, I think you touched on a really key point there. That the more sellers I'm talking to at the moment, the majority of them are all talking about, well, actually, your ad spend, we're being really cautious with that right now, because, if we go all out like we have done in previous years, we could be out of stock, and that'll affect our ranking for next year. And this is a long-term strategy, not a quick buck we're flicking here. So actually, there's a balance between selling out your stock and selling all your stock. Hurrah, great, I've sold all my stock. But once you've sold out, that's it. You game over, and you getting stock back in is a very real issue. The cost of moving stock backwards and forwards, and the time it's taking is significantly longer. So I think there's definitely a huge amount around that. Okay, so that's the sort of Q4 logistics piece. What do you see as, because really the top sellers have done Q4, they're in Q1, Q2 now. They're planning and looking forward. What do you see as the key trends coming through that people are talking about for Q1? What are the sort of things that people are saying, I see this is how, this is what's going to be starting to change and shape what we're doing?
Mm-hmm. Amazon, at least in the last couple of years, they like to make these major stings about a certain topic or trend, right? Now they want to put their flag in the ground and say, all right, we're going to not shake things up, but we're going to make this a prominent focus of what we want to do. This year, you're actually seeing quite a lot, and this is just like happening on an hourly basis of new reports coming out of ranking manipulation, review manipulation, in terms of any sort of, if there's any sort of loss in trust of a product that's on their platform, I would say Amazon's platform is a major shakeup. And Amazon has done it. Yeah. They've removed lots of major sellers, no matter what they might be. They've encountered any sort of potential manipulation in terms of rank or review strategy in terms of, and again, I say manipulation. If the sellers out there listening to this for the first time, it could be rebates. It could be in terms of selling goods to a pool of buyers at extreme costs, or refunding their purchase back on Amazon. That's what Amazon dictates, technically, review manipulation of, hey, if you buy this product, I'll give you 100% like gift card back or a credit back to your product. And then as long as, and then it's a quid pro quo, right? Amazon does not like that. It sees it as falsified information is not, it's not something that's true or valid. And I think you're seeing a lot more crackdown on that. And you're going to see a lot more either companies like service providers, but also just people who have partook in those gray, black hat tactics start to get really hammered on those. And I think that's where a lot of shift is. How do you refocus your launch strategy, your review strategy on Amazon? And that's working with more influencers and micro influencers, working with more, thought leadership, working more with content creators and things like that, actually developing a brand instead of, hey, I want to blast this product out there and then rank it really high and then just keep it maintained at that level. Again, PPC strategies and things like that. There's a lot of strategies of it's more pay to play and more thought behind it instead of give a lot of product away, refund it, and then you're at the top and let that naturally kind of lead your lighting lights. Or I think that there's a lot of reshifting of the focus of not just software, but also services that kind of help with those, and what you need to do to kind of be legitimized, again, continuing in the space.
Well, I think there's two things there. I think it's totally right that being a legitimate business that's got no black hat, there's just a solid business. There's no cheating going on in any way, shape, or form. Second thing you alluded to there is brand. The one people that we see that are winning right now is brands. Brand. Do you have a brand? What does that brand look like? What influence are you using? How are you using storefronts? How are you using enhanced brand content? Are you using videos? All of those things Amazon's gone in for a much bigger focus around the brand, and I think we see that aggregators, they're buying brands. They're not buying anything else. They're buying brands. Now, I'm not saying everyone's goal is to exit with a brand and exit, but that piece of the era of brands are starting to come into their own. So I totally agree with what you're saying there. That's a massive piece right now.
Absolutely. There's actually on Friday, I'm not pitching this for anyone, but there's a study that came out with this data back in June. Again, the industry kind of shifts all around of where you talked about aggregators. I call them brand builders. Like I feel, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this like this. Um, I like to be on the positive side. Aggregator somehow feels like negative in the space, and so like just
Yes.
like this like you say almost like not a swear word, but like just a negative connotation about it. But like if there's more companies that are going to come to the space of brand building, right? What is it that you're going to know, or what is it that they're looking for in terms of profitability, what they want to actually achieve to grow these brands and take it to another like scalable partners, if you will.
Yeah.
And the report came out. It was actually interesting, and I thought this will shift actually more in Q1 and Q2, and maybe towards the end of this year. The focus of just Amazon sales and private label sales. I think that you're going to see this pretty massive shift on people who need to know that there's diversification out there, and that you have a audience that is built around direct to consumer,
Yes.
wholesale, as well as Amazon. And I call it the three pillars. Like if I had to stake what is a successful business in the Amazon landscape and you consider yourself a brand, I'm going to look at for three major things. A, are you established on Amazon? You have great track record. I think that's the center pillar of any sort of major quote unquote brand on Amazon. Then second, have you found this next wave of direct to consumer ship that you can develop, whether it's your own traffic and you have this own loyalty and you have your own customer base, you have all these other assets that are kind of tied to you that can purchase directly from your brand or website. And then three, do you have a relationship where 90% of commerce is still happening and that's still in retail? Do you have relationships with a Target, a Walmart, a Home Depot, or a Lowe's? Do you have the shelf space that people still want to touch, feel, buy when I need to get a quick gift for somebody? If it doesn't happen on e-commerce, it can also still happen where these people are still shopping on a day-to-day basis. So no matter where the gauntlet is, that instantly is going to make this. That's what aggregators, I believe, wholeheartedly are going to look for. Again, if it's something that can be purchased over and over again in the direct-to-consumer channel, you're going to have that wholesale focus and mentality, but then also you have an establishment on Amazon. So I think instead of just on Amazon, you're going to see this diversification, this omni-channel presence, if you will, and really start to build out these quote unquote brands more and more in the space. I think that you had that first wave of brands being purchased on Amazon. Now you're going to see where this second wave, if you will, a bigger splash of more money coming into the space, but they're going to look for more, right? You want more out of that in terms of scalability, profitability, and just like reach in general.
Yeah, I think that the diversification across multi channels has to be the ultimate winning model for those that have got the time and resource. Because we see here in Europe. I mean, Europe's a great example of that. You've got 28 countries. You've got you've got Amazon in the majority of those, or availability in all of those. But actually, in every single one of those countries, you've got additional marketplaces that are different and specific to each of those countries.
Each
And
country, yeah.
actually, some of those are amazing. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I muted myself there. In some cases, they're bigger than Amazon. So that omni-channel you discussed is absolutely critical that sellers get right, because they can maximize their opportunity. Here in Europe, they can double what they do on Amazon easily in each country by being on other marketplaces. It's just about being aware of everything that's around them and just going direct to consumer. Have they got
Right.
a website? What does that website look like? How do they drive traffic to it? There's so
And
much they can do.
And Andy, yeah, that's where I think like that I kind of have this negative, or not negative. I think where you see a lot of people are like, oh, I only want people that sell on Amazon, right? I get why that is an allure, and I know where that's successful. And even the data that was being showed in this report, again, it's from Fortunate, so they're great. I think they might even be partners with you guys, but they're a brokerage in terms of helping facilitate, and they surveyed, I think, like 42, 43 of these companies across the space, no matter where they might be located. But I think the reason why they look for specifically on Amazon is just because of the manpower it takes to be really good at not just on Amazon, but if you say, all right, we want to
Yeah.
be good with that brand, but also direct to consumer, that takes a whole nother team to know marketing. You need to know customer retention. You need to know website. You have to have developers that know exactly how you can kind of ease people through the checkout processes. You have to have a social presence. You have to have a whole big wave of teams, and I think that's scary for some of these brand builders at scale, because if you have to do all that for Amazon and then replicate that standard operating procedure for a whole nother distribution channel, that's a lot of manpower that you have to retrain, get really good at. But then just almost like that replication process, more
Yeah.
people means more money, means more, investments. And is that the quickest way to do that? Maybe not, but that's why if you're trying to actually build this brand building machine, I think you're going to have these departments that really do specialize in each of these channels.
Yeah.
And the reach is phenomenal, especially like you said in Europe. Not everyone adapts to just on Amazon. It's CD discount. It's I'm trying to think of all the different marketplaces in each of these.
Yeah. There's
Like
tons of them.
Mercado Libre
Yeah.
in South America and Rakuten in Japan. Like those are all much more apparent in those specific countries than it is for Amazon. Amazon's only in 20 different. So, anyways,
Sorry.
counting.
Yeah.
I must be
What's
cut
what
off.
happened
No,
there?
no, no, it's okay. No, I'm saying like because of Amazon just now, just launched its in Egypt, marking its 20th marketplace. You're going to see the slow adoption across the world, but it's still you still want to play where most people are making their shopping happen in that regard.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. Fantastic. And let's get on to ping pong. What's happening? What's new with ping pong? What's new over the next sort of what's happened over the last 6 months, and what's coming for the next 6?
Yeah, that's a good question. So kind of what I alluded to this, and I talked about in our first episode is, there's we have these 3 pillars, right? I said it earlier in e-commerce, the 3 pillars of Amazon, direct to consumer, and then wholesale. We're trying to build out what Ping Pong's trying to build out is this sort of ERP, or this at scale. How can I use this engine that we've built out and partnered with all these different great marketplaces and great sellers across the entire world now, helping over 1 million customers worldwide, and it continues to grow. How do we continue to use that, and not just receiving or sending money, but like what other aspects can we touch on people's lives? For example, everyone in the world, if they are not selling online, you can start to see the fact that remote work is really more important. You can have teams internationally around the world all working together. How can we effectively help them with payroll? How can we help in the supplier function of paying out goods and services in a different country with localized currency instead of paying international transfers or international wires, I should say, and really saving money in those regards. So not just looking at e-commerce, but making that the focal core. And how do you effectively start to make these different tiers more profitable in that regard? So bookkeeping, helping people, again, get their goods quicker by working directly with manufacturers and distributors. That's super important for people nowadays, especially with logistics kind of blockchain, if you will, or that kind of like bottleneck. How can I get my goods on the water or in the air quicker? And those are the kinds of problems that we're helping people solve on a day-to-day basis. And then also talk about in the aggregator space, I think you can see just like big business acquisitions, kind of handling in that space of, hey, we want to start to take this brand or this company under our wing or our belt. And you're seeing a lot more acquisitions or just massive purchases in these spaces. How do we help with those business transactions and the fees associated with them be negligible in that regard? So building this all-encompassing ERP, if you will, this the solution where it's a growth partner instead of just a one-off scenario of, oh yeah, I'm going to receive my remittance from Canada. Big deal. That's not what gets us up in the morning. I think it's the solving the problems of fees in general and just getting money from point A to point B quicker, more effectively, instead of the old way of doing banking and finance.
Fantastic. Okay, I love that. So going from strength to strength, which is what I love, that ability to support, help, nurture, do anything they can to support the sellers. Like, at the end of the day, it's the sellers that are expanding, the sellers that are moving cross-border is absolutely critical. So that's fantastic. Okay, so we are coming to an end. Ryan, it's been absolutely super having you on. Ryan, if people want to get in contact with you, they want to learn more about ping pong, what's the best way of doing that?
Yeah, so I've always had kind of a link that people can just chat with me for 15 minutes of just want to pick my brain on thoughts of e-commerce or just want to learn more about ping pong. Apart from the social media, you can just search for me on there, but you can either put 15 minutes on my calendar, and it's calendly.com/partner with ping pong, and you can it's my access to my calendar where we can just chat about your business, how there's potential alignment, whether it's co-marketing or just you want to learn about more of our services and solutions. And you get to talk with me, and we get to vent and do stuff like this about your business and challenges you might want to overcome, and where we might be able to partner, or if we can put you into one of our other partners that either have a problem with logistics or anything like that. Like I said, my background is in e-commerce, so I've kind of opened up my calendar to say, how can you learn more about ping pong, but how can I help you as a service or a seller or just a company in general, and point in the right direction, at least what I can try to help with in that regard. So yeah, that calendly.com/partner with ping pong, and you'll get my calendar, or just feel free to message me directly on social media, on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook in general.
Do you know what? It's strange. There's so many ways that people can actually contact you. When you say, "Yeah, just search me up on Google," and I'm sure you'll find something.
There's Twitter in there, yeah, Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, like some of them I monitor, and people reach out in different ways, and somehow they always figure it out. You can comment on our live streams. You'll find me out there in the ether. I call it my corner of the internet, but where people find me, but it is what it is. It's fantastic. It was almost too much, right? I'm sure, Andy, it's like you're fielding people's questions or comments all the time. You're like, where did we talk about this? And you have to search all throughout all of your apps, all your messaging. But to be kind of available for people, I think that's where commerce happens. It can be on WeChat. And when Facebook went down a couple of weeks ago, everyone freaked out. I was like, but you have all these other different apps and communication processes you can do. But it's a fascinating world that we live in still, to be available 24/7, and shopping is 24/7. So, but yeah, that's how people can get in touch with me.
Fantastic. It's sometimes people message me, and I'm like, I've got to reply to that person. I forget where they've actually messaged me, and you're looking for all these different apps to work out what's the best way. I'm sure I recall that happening. Where did that happen? You're going through all of it. Anyway, I'm dragging on. There we go. Ryan, it's an absolutely amazing having you on once again to hear your insights, see what you think about Q4, leading into Q1, Q2, and then into ping pong. That's been really, really useful. Hopefully, a lot of people got a huge amount from that. Understand a bit more, the experiences, the trials, the tribulations. It's not all bad. It's all pretty epic. And it's all about focusing on driving traffic and driving your business forward. That was it from Global E-commerce Experts on the E-commerce Expander Secrets podcast. My name's Andy Hooper, here to successfully expand e-commerce sellers into Europe. Ryan, thank you for your time, and we'll speak again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.